Hey, hey. Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Tarot Flow Show. The Tarot Flow Show where synchronicity is the star. And I'm your host, Alison Pickering, and I am very happy to be here today with my co-host from Stockholm, Sweden, the student of all things spiritual, the Scandinavian savant, Kefri Skarabus. Welcome, Kefri, to the show. It's always
Thank you,
so good to
Alison.
have you.
It's always wonderful to be here.
Thank you so much. So what time is it now out in Stockholm? It's about
It's
12 noon here in LA.
It's 9:18 in the evening here for the moment, actually.
Okay, well, we will be spending a little bit of time right now with our special guest, and he is a really nice guy. I have had a chance to meet him briefly over the airwaves, over the Zoom rooms, in different things that we've been involved with business-wise, and I have really liked him, and he was wanting to come on the show, and I said, oh, yay! He's an entrepreneur from Trinidad. He has a wonderful business for dog beds. He's a lover of dogs and people. And he also loves the brick and mortar and the interaction with people. And he's a curious person about the mystical. And so we're going to be having a good time today with NEIL BABOOLAL. Welcome, NEIL BABOOLAL. Yay!
Thank you, Alison. Thank you.
Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us here today. Tell us a little bit about your life, your being, and what else happening in Trinidad with you. I see that you are energy, which is a beautiful thing.
Yes. I'm full of it. Yes, well, my name is NEIL BABOOLAL. I have been an entrepreneur all my life. I am an owner of my brick and mortar store for over 25 years. Uh-huh. And only recently, about a year now, I stepped into the aha moment when I got that aha moment and started my e-commerce business on Amazon, where I launched my first pet product. It's a pet travel bed. And I just love entrepreneurship. I love dealing with people. I love dealing with customers. And I love solving problems. And I love the journey generally. The journey is it's a roller coaster, but it's enjoyable. It certainly is. And I just love it.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, because you also have a lot of style, I must say, because when I see you, there's always a lot of color around you. The wonderful frames on your glasses match your backdrop, match your shirt, and it's not the only color I've seen on you. So I really enjoy all of that energy that you display as well. Tell us about your experiences with the mystical things. You mentioned palmistry and tarot. What is interesting to you about that? So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, from very young, I've always been intrigued by palmistry and numerology and astrology, and even every day I will, from very young, I will pick up the newspapers or various newspapers and read my horoscope. Mm-hmm. And sometimes whilst reading it, or for example, that I did not read it the day before and I read it the day after, it have a lot of truth in it. Mm. You know, a lot of characters in what you read is really what transpired in reality. So I'm amazed about astrology, and I love numerology. I think numbers are very important. Numbers play a very important part in our lives. With this great connection, I love to call it, you know, within the earth and the great beyond, the universe, the stars and the sun and the moon. So I see it very, very, way beyond that. I could see, when you look at night in the stars, and it's like you could only see what you could see, but it's it's magical, it's mystery, it's full of energy. You're wondering what's out there. Why am I here?
Exactly.
You ask yourself all these questions.
Indeed. And those are the important questions, aren't they? Rather than, what am I going to have for dinner? Although that's also important, So.
Yes.
Well, let's take a look at what we're doing today. And again, I thank you for joining us for this interesting experience. I hope it's as amazing as it usually is. And so we never know what's going to happen. So that's why we're here together. So we've had a chance to briefly meet you. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pick a little focus card. After that, we're going to do a reading for your consideration. And then for anybody who likes this kind of thing, do please visit us at ALISONPickering.com, because we have some upcoming offers. We're starting we have a 5-day challenge in November to learn tarot in 5 days. We're going to have some travel in 2025 and some cruises. We're going to have an academy starting up. So all kinds of good stuff. So Neil, I appreciate your being here. Let's take a look at this character here. You probably know that this is not a person. It's not a man or a woman. This is a picture. It's our little attempt as humans to represent this larger force, which is, who are we? Our spirit, as it comes into this body in Trinidad, in Sweden, in California. You know, how do we even know the chance of our being born to the parents we're born to? All of these things are a great mystery. And this one is willing to jump into that mystery. He goes into the major arcana, which represent the soul's journey in life. The top row, very oversimplified, but representing our early life and our beginnings. The middle row representing the lessons and challenges of being an adult and living your own life. And then the bottom representing states of consciousness that we go through. And hopefully we go through them to the point where we have new awakenings, a connection to source, and a gaining of the lessons with this double wands in the hand here, more than the single wand of the magician, so that as we go through all of these lessons that we gain the magic or the prize, and then we are in another portal and then back to start again, perhaps. So there's 22 of those major arcana, Neil. And as we look right now, let's ask you to pick a number between 1 and 22. And I'm going to shuffle these up. And would you just tell me what number between 1 and 22 seems good to you? And we'll count that one out, and we'll look at the symbols on that card just to see what symbols are on a card.
My favorite number, number 9.
Number 9, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And here is card number 9, is the Justice card.
Oh.
The hinge point of the whole tarot. Beautiful card. And then we're going to share the screen and show the beautiful Justice card. And as we look here, the Justice card is right smack in the middle of the arcana, and you can see they have the scales, which are balanced, the sword in the one hand. And let's look at this up close now. There's our Justice card. So one of the interesting things that we saw about the Justice card yesterday is in the coloration. So you'll notice that there's a gold and a purple behind the Justice card, and we'll show that in a moment, because those colors are on the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, basically straight up from us into divinity. And that's a beautiful thing. We can also see that there's a lot of the sense of squareness in this card. The crown is very squared off. There's a square in the middle of the crown. So that's representing a balanced mind. And
we can actually show the tree here at the same time. There we are.
Thank you so much. So notice this is an image of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. It's called the Seed of Life pattern here. And then do you notice in the middle, the yellow and then the purple down below? Those are the same colors that are behind this Justice card. We on the earth are only in that very bottom little circle on the Tree of Life. So that's called Malkuth, and that's our world. And everything else is like the ladder back to source, and all the lessons, and each of the spheres or jewels in this Tree of Life represents a different kind of state of consciousness or a waypoint on the journey. And the yellow and the purple are straight up from us toward that crown, which is at the very top. So that's something that's in the Justice card. Another thing that we can see in the Justice card that is also paralleled in the Tree of Life is the idea of these columns on either side, and the Justice card sitting in the middle in the path of balance again. The pillars on the Tree of Life are called the pillar of, on the right, mercy with the blue, and severity with the red. And so this Justice card is sitting in the middle of the mercy and the severity with open eyes, because oftentimes you'll see the Justice with closed eyes with a blindfold, but now this is spiritual justice. The eyes are open. And then you can also see the square in the pendant above the breast holding the cloak on, and there's a circle within that, the sword and the scales. Kefri, what else is significant in the Justice card for us to know?
This is connected to the star sign of Libra, and it's a lot of balance, and it's a higher kind of balance actually, because it is an inner balance that is then showing how we act in our outer life, so to speak. And there is the scales in the cards as we see, and there is also sword here, and those who is a bit knowing in the tarot, we can show it here. It's actually that sword, but it's held in a different way here. But it is that sword here in this card, and we can also see that this card is on the pillar of severity. Actually, it's on this pillar, so it has to do with discipline, this one, and this has to do with balance. And this figure is more like Archangel Michael actually than a justice figure if we go deep in this card. And the Hebrew letter for this card, the connection to that is to a whip, we can say, a whip that will whip us into doing what we need to do to get the development and to get a balance in life. So this is a harder form of discipline, so to speak, a lawful discipline, and it is about spiritual and divine law more than earthly law.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. So Neil, sometimes these cards, I mean, we've just been itemizing like accountants. There's this, there's that, there's this, there's that. But the reality is that when we as humans look at a card, we just look at the picture, we get kind of an impression or a feeling or an emotion. Is there anything that you have just as a general impression when you look at this Justice card?
It looks, it looks like a queen sitting on her throne, and the sword signifies a sense of power, a sense of on a higher level than the ones that, like a ruler, higher level than the followers. It looked very powerful, and yes, and red signals a little bit of danger and curiosity. So
Yeah, exactly. And energy from Mars, exactly.
Yes.
That kind of like, look at you with all the red that you're wearing today. And happy full moon in Pisces, everybody. We had the full moon. Did you have a chance to look at it last night? It was gorgeous.
Yes, it was. I am Pisces, so.
Oh, you and Kefri both. So yes, maybe you really felt it extra strong, howling at the moon. It must be beautiful on the islands to see the moon and the stars.
It is. Very beautiful.
Yeah. So that's basically so much is contained in one single card, and you captured a lot of the feeling tone of it, Neil. I thank you for engaging in that little unpacking with us. What we're going to do now is take a quick look again at the cards, and these are the minor arcana. So these are the cards that are, you can see that they're the ancestors of the playing cards that they might use in casinos or in Vegas, or for playing just around the dinner table with your family. The clubs, the hearts, the spades, and the diamonds left to right are those connections. But in the tarot, they are the suit of fire is the wands, the suit of water is the cups, the suit of air is the swords, and the suit of earth is the coins or the pentacles. If we flip this onto its side, so to speak, so that the wands were at the top, this then echoes that tree of life, so that the wands are at the very, very top, where we can't control it, but we can receive. So we receive our ideas, we receive our inspirations, we receive our intuitions, and then we can respond to them like this Knight of Wands is doing on the bottom. Then if we think of this as the inception of an idea, and we're going to bring it into reality, then the next step past the inspiration is that we have to care about it, because if we don't care about it, nothing will happen. And so there's that investment of emotional energy that's represented in the cups, and the Knight of Cups with his quest, with his holy grail. Then the suit of swords is when you have to get into the planning. Nothing's going to happen unless you make a plan and you start taking some actions. And so that plans into action thing is the notion of the swords. And you can see that that knight is off and running with his idea. We have started wars over ideas more than anything else, you probably know. And then finally, in the earth sign, we have, or in the symbol of the earth, is we have the suit of pentacles. And the pentacle is the coin. Why is there a pentagram? Because we interact with the world using our five senses. And so that's representing our five senses. We also have the four elements, as well as the element of spirit. And so all of those things are represented with that five-pointed star on the pentacle. And then the knight below, he's not moving hardly at all, because he is, the other aspect of this pentacles thing is that we are operating in time, and time is slow. Everything else is in the world of thoughts, ideas, intuition, all of that is outside of time, but the pentacles are inside time, and that slows us down. We have to be born over the course of 9 months. You know, there's that gestation period. Crops require time. We require sleep and awake time, you know, and we age and we die eventually, you know. So our whole existence is marked by this thing called time, which, again, what does it mean? What is time? It's such a nebulous thing. It's our software so we don't explode in the chaos is what I think. But beyond that, I don't have really a notion. So those are our suits. Let's take a quick look at the 1 through 5 and 6 through 10 in the wands, and then those court cards. Lots of fire symbols in the court cards. Water here in the cups. Swords here. Air. Thought. Planning. Kind of cold. And then here in the pentacles with our earthy signs there. So, Kefri, you've been shuffling the cards this whole time. I hope, Neil, you're okay. I did some cards here. Kefri's going to do his cards over there in Stockholm, and he's going to walk you through the process of the reading. Let's take a quick look at the reading we'll be doing. Here is how we're going to handle it. 7 cards is quite sufficient. Today, we're going to have an issue that will come up first, and then we'll look at a timeline. Past, present, future on the bottom. This may already have completed, and we're looking at it in retrospect. We might be in the middle of it right now. We will see. Advice cautionary is up here on the left of the issue, and to the right of the issue is more supportive advice. It's like don't do on the left and do on the right. And then afterwards, we'll get a perspective card to further consider what's happening. What questions might you have at this point, Neil? Because I've been talking. What comes to mind for you now?
Well, what comes to mind is that we are entering a phase of a little bit of mystery here. You know, very full of mystery and intrigue, and you know, something that will only enlighten me from here on. You know,
Great.
Yes, it's a sense of mystery, and you know, wanting to know more.
Okay, cool. Is there a particular topic or issue you want to look at, or do you just want to see what comes up? What intrigues you today?
Let's see what comes up randomly.
Good. Let's do it. All right. So I'm going to hand off to Kefri, and he's going to walk us through the dealing of the cards. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison. And Neil, I am shuffling the card, and you say stop where you want the stop to be.
Stop.
There. And do we want to cut the cards, and how many times do you want to cut the cards?
Say 3 times.
3 times?
Yes.
1 and 2 and 3. And there we go. And we will look at the middle card in the top row first. That is the subject card. And that card is the Knight of Swords. And then we'll go in the lower row, and we look at the rightmost card. That is the past card. And that is the 8 of Pentacles. And then we look at the middle card in the lower row, and that is the present, and it is the Queen of Swords. And we will look at the rightmost card in the lower row, and that is the future card, and that is the Nine of Cups. And then we will go in the top row in the most left position, and that is the cautionary card, what is not advised to do. And that is the Hermit card. And then we will look at the rightmost card in the top row, and that is the advice card, what is advised to do, and that is the Two of Swords. And the seventh card we will wait with now, and Alison will come back to us now.
Okay, so one thing that we can certainly notice here is that we have a very high number of swords, because we have all those 78 cards, but 3 of our 6, so a full 50% is just in that one suit. And so it seems to me like you have ideas and plans and something on the brain that you really kind of want to do, and an idea that you really want to run with right now. And so let's take a look at that Knight of Swords. So at this point, this is representing the issue that we're looking at, and you in the middle of this issue. And so I feel like it looks to me, and you can certainly see from this card, that there's a sense of urgency and mission and hurry and importance. And to a certain degree, there's an ego going on this card, where you're kind of on an ego mission to a certain degree. And so it's worth pausing, or you can see that it's hard to pause, because this is so much already in action. And so there's this idea of that you're already kind of off and running in a particular direction right now. Let's take a look at the timeline and see how that's represented here in the timeline. So certainly the idea is that you have been working sincerely and a hard worker. You can be proud of everything you've done. There are trophies you can hang on the wall. There is evidence of your accomplishment around you, among your customers, among your people, among the things that you value. You have evidence of what all you have done, and the hard work that you have done. And at the moment, it looks like you are, so there's this idea of concentrated work and mastery and study and all of these things. And they've led you now to a sense that you're ready to go off on your own. Let's look at that Queen of Swords. Now, the Queen of Swords is a very mature card, and she's someone that you don't really want to mess with. She's very decisive. And so currently, it looks to me like you are feeling very decisive and in a hurry. So between that Knight of Swords above and the Queen of Swords below, and they're looking in different directions, which is actually kind of interesting. So it's like you have your sights in one direction, and yet there are actions that you are taking, or actions that you want to take that you feel are important to take, that kind of go in a different direction. And so that feeling of contradiction is probably unsettled in you right now. It's hard to feel settled when you're feeling torn, or when you feel like you should be doing something and you feel like there should be action, and yet the advice in this case is don't take action quite yet in that too. And so it's appropriate for you to sit in your thoughts like you're doing right now in this queenly figure. We saw that justice figure and you saw her as a queen. Now, gender in the tarot is a very arbitrary thing, and it doesn't reflect on whether, it doesn't mean anything in terms of who you are. It just means different states of consciousness. And so I would say that with this queen, it's representing the idea that you are in the decision-making capacity right now, but you're only seeing one side. of it. You're ready to make a decision, but you're only really seeing one side of it right now, and it might be a little rigid what you're deciding. And so the advice card that Kefri was putting up there just for a moment was for you to hold up for a moment while the emotions, hold up while the feelings are still being explored, and because there's still feelings around this. And until those are settled, it's really not a good time for action, because you could hurt people in that process. And so, and then I have to say that the Queen of Swords is a classic card of divorce or of separation in terms of partnerships, or perhaps there's an argument that you've had with someone and you're ready to just cut them off. Or there's something that is like, there's something you want to do and somebody else doesn't want to do it. And you are like, well, I'm just going to do it anyway. And that seems to be the recommendation on this seems to be to just hang on until you know more. So let's look at the future card. And I'm going to notice here that the 9, your favorite number, is the number of this card. And the 9 of the recommendation against is also the Hermit card, is a 9. So it may be that your default tendency is toward this individual action, sole proprietor. I'm the decision maker. I understand this because I'm the same way. I'm a control freak. So I don't like other people getting in on my decisions, but that's not necessarily a mature viewpoint. It's just my viewpoint. So I don't know if that's something that is shared in this circumstance for yourself, but it looks to me that in the future, you will be much more satisfied and you will feel much prouder of the outcome. So if you look at the hard worker on the left, who is proud of his trophies, and the one who is sitting now in front of his trophies, it's not going to be gotten alone. And so I would say that the idea of being a hermit in this and just following your own path. Let's look at that Hermit card, if you don't mind, Kefri. The advice against in this point is going on your own. The advice against is trusting only your own voice. Even though you are a smart guy and there is no doubting this, there's a certain amount of proving a point or showing somebody like a lesson or something like that you're trying to teach somebody that just isn't up to the level of who you really are in your heart. And so hold off. Let's look at that 2 card, please. Hold off for the moment on bringing down the hammer. As they say, hold off on the decision. Hold off on speaking the words that you so want to speak, because you don't know enough yet. There's something that you're not aware of yet, or there's something that you haven't had, pardon me, the guts to look at yet, that will, and that's the reason for the truce. The reason that you have this truce right now is because there is a fact that you're not taking into account. So it's not the right time to go to war, even though you're ready. And maybe this full moon has really brought it up in you to do this thing. But just be patient, and I think you'll be a lot happier by being patient. So that's my worldly kind of interpretation.
I will put up the 7th card here also, Alison,
okay.
because you can read this already, because it's this.
Oh, yeah. So, bury the hatchet, as they say, as there's an expression meaning it's much more important at this point to have a meeting of minds, to have a healthy partnership, to see eye to eye, to recognize each other's differences and to appreciate the balance that each other brings to each other, to see the health and the strength possible within this partnership is much better than to act on temper or a principle that is an external principle when the internal principle is much deeper and more beautiful, and that's the principle of connection. So that's what I see in this reading, and I hope that it's relevant for you. you of course have the recording of this, and I'm going to sit back now and Neil, so you know, I tend to read towards the bottom of the tree, so to speak, in what's on the day-to-day life. But then all of these things exist for us inside our psyche, inside our spiritual development. So what might these cards represent in your spiritual development? And that's what Kefri's going to speak to. Thank you so much for taking all this in.
Thank you, Alison. It's about the same process that you have already identified in this card, I think, for the spiritual esoterical field here for Uni. Because it's like you are very interested about spiritual things, and you have already told us that, and you want to learn as much as you possibly can about this field, actually. But then also there is a thought in you that you must learn also to be able to use it, and perhaps also use it as a service and offer it to the world and so on. And that is the cautionary card here. Learn as much as you want on this stage, so to speak, but don't feel any urge to having to make any results with it. Just look at it, because that is also the Two of Swords up there, because that person, that figure is in a total balance in that position. And also holding the arms like this is also like if you see a mummy of a pharaoh or something, they always holds the hand like this, and that is an indication that they are in a total balance, and they give off their energy to higher forces to decide what should come next. And I think you should do the same when it is the spiritual development. Learn as much as possible, but there can also be that you need some form of teacher or some form of person that is more initiated than you in this, that you can talk to and can honestly help you with this, and see which steps you should take. And it could also be that you can find some good books or courses or something with good advice in, so to speak. That could also be it. It doesn't have to be a person, but there is a need for an higher knowledge source here. So you can sort out what you should do with everything you will learn in this. Then we have another layer here, and that is connected to your daily work, so to speak. You have developed what you want to develop and your entrepreneurship and everything, and you don't have to develop so much more there for the moment. Actually, you can rest on what you already has developed, and you can go on starting the spiritual searching, so to speak, but you don't have to have an urge in the same way as you have had with the entrepreneurship. And that has not been wrong, because that has also given you a lot of security, so you now can explore the other field of spirituality and esoterical disciplines like numerology, palmistry, and astrology, and tarot, and name it, what you want. And that is also the Queen of Swords in this case, because that is also the discipline that you will find in yourself, and especially together with somebody that could guide you and see, this I want to look more in, but this I don't want to look more in for the moment. And then you can check if that is right to think that way, or if you should look at the other thing also perhaps a little bit, and so on and so on. And the future card there, the Nine of Cups, indicates that you will build a foundation of knowledge here, and together with the person that can guide you or a discipline in the esoterical field, so to speak, that you choose one field that you want to develop extra, that will be very good actually, because it will bring in a lot of force and light that you can give out to the world later on. And that is also the Two of Cups there, that there will be a beautiful foundation unit with those two energies inside of you, your discipline to work for the entrepreneurship and to merge it with your spiritual interests as well. And this could also be a higher level in your own relationship to somebody. So it can be both. But in this reading, both what Alison has been seeing and what I have been seeing, there is one thing that is similar, and that is the uphold of the balance in every level, actually. And that is the advice here. Keep the balance. And if you feel it's difficult to make a choice for the spiritual, esoterical field, seek for a knowledge person that can help you here. And it could be an initiator in some order, it could be a priest, it could be an esoterical teacher, it could be any one of those kind of knowledge and discipline fields, so to speak. And I stop there. Thank you.
So that's the tarot flow, basically. This is how it kind of, some ideas of how these cards might represent in day-to-day life, as well as in your deeper aspects here. So balance, don't try to go it alone. If you're mad about something, just recognize that there might be another point of view that you could recognize and balance it, and be happy, because you can be proud of all of your accomplishments and of the depth of character that you have, that invites you to consider these other things as well as your regular day-to-day family life and things like that. So I hope this has been useful. I hope that it's been relevant for you.
It definitely has been. Very enlightening.
Thank you.
Very good, very good.
Yes.
Well, tell your friends, touch base with me. Happy to come back again in a couple of months if you'd like to get an update. And certainly I hope that we stay in each other's orbit in terms of business and in terms of the stuff that we'll be doing with the Academy, because those are opportunities as well for learning and for exploration. And we make it fun, I hope. And so I thank you for joining us today. And might you have any other questions?
No, I'm just thankful for you having me. It's been a wonderful experience. It has been enlightening, and I'm definitely gonna be back.
Beautiful. I look forward
Thank
to
you.
it. So,
Yes.
NEIL BABOOLAL, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here today.
Thank you,
Jeffrey
Alison.
Scottabus, thank you for being here today
Thank you.
on the beautiful Tarot Flow Show, where we hope to see everybody again very soon. I'm going to take us out with a little music and say thank you again, NEIL and
Thank
Kefri,
you.
for being with us today.
Thank you, Kefri.
Thank you.